After working behind the chair for over 15 years, I've spent most of my life listening to how women think and feel about themselves. And trust me when I say, as a hairdresser, it is not pretty. We do all this work on the outside trying to make your hair look just like the Pinterest picture in 2 hours versus we all know it takes 8. But the thing is, what I found in creating beautiful hair is that always didn't reflect how they felt on the inside. I had so many clients come in and just immediately beat themselves up after looking at themselves in the mirror saying, oh, I should have wore makeup, or I hate my teeth, or oh, I'm too fat. It was just always something else to complain about. And as a hairdresser, I'm spending all this time, creative energy, and my own empowerment to be like, you're amazing, for hours behind the chair, only to be met with this criticism about how you feel about yourself. And in the beginning, I had to learn to not take that personally, because I'm like, hello, are you even looking at your highlights? Did you see your roots are gone? But they were so focused on the things that they didn't love about themselves. So that, paired with my mom's stroke in 2012, sent me on a mission. How can I not only empower myself, but how can I empower my clients that sit behind the chair? And after my mom's 2012 stroke, you guys probably know the story that it sent me on this journey of inward self-discovery, of answering the question, who am I? Hey, we're Britt and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 16 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation and working with thousands of clients, we've found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset that aligns with your authenticity, integrity, and soul purpose, regardless of your past.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place, because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness. We don't shy away from the taboo topics like sex, hypnosis, meditation, and exploring altered states of consciousness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be. At the time, I could only really answer it with, well, I'm a hairdresser and I don't know. I'm trying to write my bio in the very beginning of my business was impossible because I didn't even know who I was. So my clients for years witnessed this trial and error, change, transformation. You know, I always say self-love doesn't happen overnight, and there's certainly not a magic pill for it. But after years of my own self-discovery and my own self-experimentation, my clients began to notice the weight was falling off, the joy was shining brighter, the fear was disappearing, my creativity was expanding, my products and business services were evolving, everything started changing around me. And I knew that was happening because people would say, hey, what are you doing differently? You used to be like Brittney and now you're nice. What is happening? And I started getting those questions over and over and over again that I started sharing. Hey, well, I'm trying this. Have you ever heard of journaling? What about breath work? I'm practicing yoga right now. What do you know about metaphysical and crystals and chakras and, all the things? And I just started sharing what was authentically happening in my journey. What was I curious about? I found myself during my 10 years of dedicated, not that I've stopped, but 10 years of absolute dedicated spiritual growth and self-discovery. I would go to half-price books and pick up loads of books. I have shelves and shelves and shelves of different types of metaphysical books. Now they're more on marketing, on how can I get this information out into the world? People need to know how to love themselves. So if you look at my bookshelf, it's a funny combination of metaphysical and marketing. But hey, at least I'm doing some good work out there, right? We're trying to teach you the information that will empower you rather than just hey, give me your money, right? So we're on a mission to spread the light. And that didn't happen until I started repeating myself over and over and over again. How did you do this? How did you lose weight? How did you forgive your mom and stepdad? How did you overcome anger? How did you blah, 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 blah? How did you manifest this new business? I see you just started a photography business. How'd you do that? You're a hairdresser. So it just started with these questions, more and more questions. And I started to realize the questions were the same, but coming from different clients. And as I noticed that I'm repeating myself, well, I'm journaling. Every morning I'm pulling a tarot card. I'm trying this. I'm meditating. I'm breathing through my left nostril. I'm, talking to the moon. Have you tried a full moon ceremony? I'm just doing all these weird things in my life. And my clients trusted me enough, or they're crazy enough, one or the other. I don't really care. But they started doing it too. They started saying, well, I want to try that out, or I want to do that. And that's honestly how the goddess gatherings were born. I had so many women, as we're talking about these different types of concepts that seem a lot more normal these days, thanks to TikTok and Instagram. But the truth is, those conversations weren't normal back in the day. It was drama, gossip, and what's on Bravo. And that was not the conversation that I wanted to have with my clients. So I started changing the conversation and asking this very simple question that actually unlocked everything that I do now. The question was, well, what are you passionate about? Because I was passionate about doing hair. I was passionate about being creative, which is why I started the photography company. I was living my passions. Now, I had a whole lot of other trauma that was masking me doing my passion, so I couldn't even enjoy it. But what I found in asking that question, what are you passionate about? Most women said, I don't know. And that broke my heart, because although I'm dealing with my own anger issues and negative self-talk, I at least am doing something that I love to do. So it got me really focused on, well, how can I start helping women uncover their passions? Which, if you haven't seen, one of my latest coolest freebies is 30 free journal prompts on how to discover your passion. So if you haven't already downloaded that and you're questioning on what is your purpose, these 30 journal prompts will certainly help you get started. So go to brittneycarmichael.com/passion to download that guide. I had no idea I was even going to bring that up, but that I figured you might as well have the resource if we're talking about it. I started realizing that most people didn't know what their passions were. And that really started this journey, this coaching journey, if you will. One of my hair clients, who happens to be one of my very best friends, said one day to me, hey, Britt, can I just pay you to coach me? Can you help me set up a morning routine? And I thought, you mean I don't have to blow dry your hair? She was like, yep. I was like, that sounds amazing. And I'm all about saying yes to opportunities that feel good when they show up. So I said, hell yeah, let's do it. I actually made her get up out of the chair and sit in the guest chair, and I sat in the stylist chair, which never happens. So I'm like, if we're going to play different roles and I'm not going to blow dry her hair and be the hairstylist, I'm not standing up here anymore. I'm sitting down. So I sat down with her for the next hour and a half, and we mapped out an entire morning routine, a schedule, how she can meal prep, and really prioritize her self-care, which, if you haven't noticed, all week has been a week of self-care in my 5-day live self-care Kickstart challenge. It's been about how can we show up and prioritize first thing to build consistency around showing up for ourselves guilt-free. So I sat with her for 90 minutes, and that was my very first coaching session, if you will. I had been doing it so much with my clients that it was natural to me. I didn't even realize coaching and empowering and helping people see the gaps in their perspective, their thinking, their attitude, and their belief in their confidence. I didn't know that was something that was so natural to me because I had been doing it as a hairdresser for so long, that when I sat down and actually coached my friend, that I realized this is what I'm meant to do. The hair is just a conduit for them to get in the door. But what I'm really doing is I'm coaching and I'm empowering and I'm helping women to see their true authentic beauty and say, fuck the fear, and embrace their authentic self. And so after I repeated myself for years, I kind of had this inner feeling like, I think I'm supposed to share this message. I think I'm supposed to step out from behind the chair and start a blog or something. I kept trying to convince all my girlfriends who were really crafty to start a blog back in 2014, 2015. Hey, you should start a blog. You're so crafty. I feel like you should start a blog. But don't you find sometimes you're always telling other people what to do in their lives, but really that's a mirrored reflection to take your own advice. Well, that's exactly what happened. I took my own advice because Amber wouldn't make that crafty freaking blog, and I started BrittneyCarmichael.com. And when I mentioned I didn't know what to write about myself in my About Me, this was a total rebirth. This was a total reinvention of who I have been, what I've learned, and who I'm becoming. And how do I describe what that even means? How do I even know how I help people? It was really weird. And if you look at the back end of my WordPress for the About Me section, it has like 374 revisions, because it's been a constant evolution of like, well, what brings me the most joy? What is my natural talent and skill? And how can I bring them all together to help serve and empower others? When I think back about the 45 different jobs that I've had over the last 20 years as an entrepreneur, every single one of them are completely different, from hair to coaching to hosting retreats to goddess gathering circles to photography to I don't even know what else is in there, yoga, talking to dead people, reading tarot, like there's been a lot of different things that I've dabbled in over the last 20 years. But what I have found in reflection is that every single one of those businesses is actually a form and expression for me to empower other women. When I think back to boudoir photography, and it certainly didn't start boudoir. I tried the kids and the couples and the newborns and all that, and it just wasn't my thing at all. But when my mother-in-law said, "Will you take a picture of me like this?" and took her top off, I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And after I gave her pictures back, she cried and said, "That's not me. That's not me. I don't look like that." And that's when I realized it all clicked for me. Working behind the chair, trying to make women on the outside feel beautiful, stems from a belief that is so deeply rooted that no matter what hair color I do or how much I rah cheer them up, it's still not going to cut through their ego's defense of, well, I don't believe that I am beautiful and I don't believe that I'm worthy of receiving compliments. So that sent me on a mission. Not only was I experimenting in my own life, but after repeating myself over and over again, realizing there's some kind of formula that's here that can help women transform, that can actually take that negative self-talk and use it as fuel to empower them to move forward, to manifest their wild and crazy dreams, to accept and forgive themselves, which is the hardest person to forgive, as well as others that have been holding you back, to embrace the fear, to look it straight in the face and say, I am bigger than you and my mission is bigger than you. Get in the back seat, baby, because we are going. So all of these things that I was learning in my own life, this is why I'm credible, because I was my own guinea pig. I have done the work and I continue to do the work, because self-love isn't a one and done experience. It's an everyday commitment. It's a lifestyle, right? So wellness is a lifestyle. Self-love is a lifestyle. You have to show up and do it every day, because the waves of emotion, the movement of the mind is ever changing. So it's not always like the same. So I started putting together the tools that helped me transform. What were the things that I consistently did over the last 10 years to help change my life? What has been working for me, as well as my clients behind the chair that then turned into coaching after loads of studying and NLP and trauma-informed freaking yoga and breath work and just like all the things. I started studying more, learning more. How can I understand the foundation and the structure of transformation so that I can make this an effortless, change is easy, but it's the decision to make the change that's hard, right? So how can I make, once they've made that decision, because, you cannot change another person. Calling all empaths, you cannot fix or change anyone that doesn't want it for themselves. The desire for change has to be there. So with that out of the way, once someone's made a decision that they are ready for change, I wanted to find a way that I could help them through that transition a little bit easier. Because when we have to turn around and face our past, sometimes those fears seem a lot bigger and amplified than they were even when we experienced them X amount of years ago. So I wanted to find a roadmap. I wanted to create a curriculum that could help women transform their fear into unshakable confidence so that they could turn that doubt into dreams and have the tools that they need to be able to identify and recognize when they're self-sabotaging, because the awareness is what creates the change. So I started writing down, here's what worked for me: journaling, pulling cards, trusting my intuition, getting creative, orgasms, visualization, affirmations, attitude of gratitude. I just started writing down thing after thing after thing. And I let this list marinate for months. I would sit down with my clients and say, hey, what are the tools that have helped you change or transform or fall in love with yourself, or what's working for you? And I'll never forget my client and friend Stacia. I asked her, hey, do you journal? And she said, hell no. And I wrote down journaling, module number 1. So the thing you resist the most is the thing you need the most. And so I started listening and asking those questions to different types of women, all walks of life, all different types of stay-at-home mom to CEO, business running babes, like boss babes. I asked every type of woman that sat in my chair, what has worked for you? What are you doing? What is the thing that you're resisting the most? And over months, if not years, I started developing what is now Shine School. You guys have probably heard whenever I'm introduced, Brittney, the founder of Shine School, which sounds so crazy because I had my own epiphany one day in the shower, which is where I get all my great ideas. Showers and orgasms. I'm in the shower and the song Shine by Collective Soul starts playing on my radio, and I'm singing it and I'm rocking out in the shower and I'm, come on and shine. And I'm like, I hear my inner voice, oh my God, I'm the founder of Shine School. I created the Shine from the Inside Oracle deck. Shine. This is my freaking theme song. This is a song my mom used to play in her 1994 Pontiac Grand Am while we're cruising down the highway to school. And I realized in that moment that Shine has been planted as a seed in my soul for my entire life. And when I had that realization that I am the founder of Shine School, I have created a program and curriculum that has helped almost 5,000 women over the last 7 years transform their fear into freaking faith and belief in themselves. That just it hit me and I cried and I'm like, oh my God, I am actually living my purpose. I am doing that thing I didn't even think was a thing. Because when Chris told me many years ago, I have a vision of you, babe, speaking on stage and empowering women, I yelled at him, said, hell no, I'm a hairdresser. I just do hair. Don't talk to me like that. And so the thing you resist the most is the thing your soul is calling you to step into. And Shine School was that soul calling for me. Now, here's the funny part. And maybe you identify with this. I've been a hairdresser for over 15 years. It wasn't maybe that long at that point, but I had been doing hair a very long time. And the funny part is I had already written out an entire curriculum on how to become a 6-figure stylist. It's something that I've been doing since the first year of my career. So I have a formula. I have a method. I realize I have methods to things that seem to work for me. Now, what I know is that not every method works for everyone. So when I was creating Shine School, I made sure to cover a broad range of topics that we might get stuck on. And what I've found over the last 7 years is that students continue to go back time and time again. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year later, 2 years later, they go back to the program because once they've mastered a certain area of their life, maybe it's that negative self-talk and learning how to make friends with your inner mean girl. There's a whole module on that. Maybe once you get past that, then you're ready to do the forgiveness work. Then you're ready to believe in yourself, to go after those wild and crazy dreams. So what I have found is that self-love doesn't happen overnight. And even though I've created this 6-week curriculum that has all the tools to help you through that transformation process, it takes your entire lifetime to continue to refine and master. So here's what happened. I'm repeating myself over and over again. I know that I'm supposed to empower women. I don't know what my bio is. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to help, but I booked a fancy photo shoot and I started the WordPress and not really sure what was going on. And then I started my community, Shine Tribe Sisterhood. I started my community. I was building my local people and people from across the globe because I felt alone. I felt like nobody got me. Nobody understood me. Nobody was thinking or interested in the things that I was interested, not here in Texas at least. So I started the Shine Tribe community about 7 years ago. And within that first year of creating Shine Tribe, I realized I'm not alone, that other people are also their own worst enemy, that our negative self-talk is crippling us from going after what our soul is begging us to do. I know that if you're listening to this podcast right now, there's not a doubt in my mind that your soul has been nudging you for more, stepping outside your comfort zone, asking you to embrace those shadow parts of yourself that you've denied or pushed away for so long. You're at a turning point where your readiness for change, there's no other option. You change for one of two reasons. You either suffer enough or you learn new information. And I have a feeling you have suffered enough like me, and you're looking for that next bit of information. How can I leave behind the past and use tools to help empower me to stay present, to stay positive, and to stay aligned with who I authentically am? Well, you're in luck, because after 7 years of interviewing experts, of tweaking the curriculum, of testing it on my own self and every other crazy client over the last 10 years that's been willing to experiment, I have found this beautiful 6-week journey that will take you through the process of creating better self-care rituals for yourself, learning to say no, having boundaries that protect your energy, and the tools to help refresh it when it gets burnt out. I also teach you how to fall in love with yourself. We go through a whole self-love status where we walk through the physical, the mental, the emotional. We work through the past painful lessons that you've experienced, and we turn them into fuel to help motivate you. We turn that negative self-talk into the most motivational, empowering cheerleader voice in your mind in the Make Friends with Your Inner Mean Girl module. From there, we move on to the forgiveness. I call it practicing the F word, because we all know it's not fun, but we know it's the thing that liberates us and how we find freedom. So we walk through an entire process of forgiveness so that you can finally let go of the baggage and the burdens and all the bullshit that has been weighing you down that just doesn't serve you anymore. Once we lighten the load, we make friends with our inner mean girl, we start to fall in love with ourselves with those consistent self-care routines. Then we work on how do we build those relationships and connections with other people. So I teach you my tricks on how I've cultivated such a solid group of sisterhood and support so that I don't ever have to do this journey alone. And then once you have that network, that community, then I can teach you the tools to visualize and manifest to be able to stay consistent on your journey of going after your goals. Because hello, self-sabotage, I know that procrastination is going to come up. And in the last module on manifesting your dreams and turning them into reality, I teach you a very simple tool to make that shift so that you don't feel overwhelmed by the amount of work when you have big goals, and that you learn to celebrate every single step along the way so that you don't burn out or give up. That's the worst thing we can do when we're going after what we truly came here to do, to show up, to shine, to serve, and to share our creative gifts and love with the world. So I'm sharing all of this with you because we are opening the doors to Shine School today. I literally can't believe it falls on the perfect day for the podcast for me to share a little bit of the behind the scenes on why did I create Shine School. So that way, when you hear Brittney, the founder of Shine School, you understand that it's a program that's helped thousands of women. Almost 5,000 women have gone through this program, and I've witnessed them transform their life, leaving behind toxic relationships, abusive narcissists, and stepping into a life of freedom that feels good for them. I've seen women manifest multiple six-figure, whatever your number is, it can be done. You just have to have the clarity and belief, and that's the work that we do. It's not about how big your goals are, but do you believe in yourself along the way? I've witnessed so many people reclaim their power when they've thrown their confidence to the wind many years ago, decades, 40 years ago. I've had women that are over 60 years old take Shine School and say, I've been in this shitty life and relationship for 40 plus years, and I'm finally saying I deserve better. So I have seen from 20-year-olds not knowing what the fuck they're doing in the world and how they relate to it, to even 60 plus year olds that are like, is it too late for me? Is this even possible for me? Change is possible when you make that decision. It is. So I invite you. We haven't opened the doors live to Shine School, where we'll be doing live coaching calls together. We'll be bringing the old alumni back in because we always love bringing our old Shine Schoolers in to help support and cheer on the new Shine Schoolers. So I am, after 2 years of grieving, losing my dad, losing my cat, all the freaking things, I'm like, you know what? It's time for us to show up and shine, because what I've learned in life is that there's not going to be this day where it's all perfect and it's easy and now is the right conditions. That's for planting, right? But for growing and for the soul cultivation, the soul seed to grow, it takes consistent action. So I decided now is the perfect time for all of us to show up and make that commitment. Maybe at the beginning of the year, or maybe 5 years ago, you were like, I'm going to do this thing for myself, but you've procrastinated. You've found reasons or excuses to not make it happen. You've put obstacles in the way unconsciously, but now is the time. So I'm going to open the doors live to Shine School today, and you will have access to join me and the thousands of other women who have gone through this program and do it together. Although this is a self-paced journey, you'll receive one module every week so you don't feel overwhelmed over the next 6 weeks. You'll actually have the support of me as your coach alongside all the other women that have gone through this. What I love so much about this program is because it's tried and true and tested over time. It's not some brand new course that I just put a pretty sticker on and now it's going to change your life. We have so many comments on every single lesson that you can actually go through the lesson and look down and read through the comments to see how is this affecting other people's life, because what they share might inspire you or give you that aha moment of like, oh my God, I was doing that too. I didn't even realize it. And one of the things that I love so much, I'll give you a little sneak peek. In module 2, one of the exercises that I have you guys do, because there's journal prompts, there's affirmations, there's worksheets, there's all the things to help support you to actually do the work without feeling overwhelmed. I don't want you to feel like you're going back to school. I don't want it to be boring. So I made everything beautiful, fun, sparkly, and easy to access so that you can do this deep, hard work, but not feel alone. So one of the lessons that I love so much in the program is called What Lights You Up? And it's creating a list of the things that bring you joy so that you can start cultivating a self-care routine that is the perfect blueprint for what you need and not what other people are doing. And I have everyone share what is their list in the comments below. And I've scrolled through hundreds of comments and read through all the different things that light people up. And what I find to be so interesting is that almost everything that is listed on the What Lights You Up list is free. Playing with my dog, reading a book, taking a walk, breathing, yoga, hanging out with my partner, calling a friend, talking to my mom. All these things are actually free to do, but if we're not in the habit, we don't prioritize filling our cup first, especially if you're someone who feels guilty. So I wanted to come on here and share a little bit. It's weird being by myself. I'm like looking over at the corner of my shoes but Chris isn't there. It's just all my shoes. Like, where's Chris? He's going to talk, right? So hello, solo episode. But I just thought this is a topic that I'm so passionate about that it deserves its own shine spotlight. We have interviewed experts like Rebecca Campbell, Lori Harder, Mel Wells, George Lizos. We've interviewed all kinds of authors and doctors and experts in their field inside the program. So not only do you get my wisdom of lifetimes of learning and trial and experimentation, but you also will access teachings from these high-level leaders and experts that will be able to support you no matter where you're at on your journey. Maybe you're like, I don't care about the money mindset. I really need to focus on my physical weight and how I treat my body. Lori Harder's in there sharing how you can learn to love your body through certain attitudes and actions that you can take. We've got Mel Wells talking about grief and what it's like to still show up and stay creative even when you've lost your father, which I didn't know at the time of recording that would really help me later down the line. Another interview that helped me deeply was my friend Alex Beeden. She's an incredible marketer, and she, during the interview, expressed that she had just gotten her YouTube account deleted that had over 1 million views. And it was just deleted out of the blue, accident, and can't get it back. She shared that encouraged her, if not forced her, to start her podcast and try a different form of creative expression, which she now still does. So when my Instagram account was deleted last year, 30K, 12 years, goodbye, I immediately went to the lesson I learned from Alex Beeden inside Shine School, the bonus interviews, on what she did and how she just chose to pivot instead of wallow. So you'll get this beautiful access to these bonus interviews. You'll also receive there's over $5,000 worth of bonuses, way more than I care to bullet point and list off for you. So if you're like, I feel like I need Shine School, I want you as my coach, I need a sisterhood to support me on this journey because sometimes I fall off, even though it's 6 weeks long, it's like you have lifetime access. And if you in 14 years get in there and you're like, I'm finally doing the forgiveness model, guess who's going to be there commenting, cheering you on, and supporting you every step of the way? This skinny guinea, because I have made a commitment, my vow, my decision. When I started Shine School, circling back to, I'd already created a course on how to be a six-figure stylist, but you want to know the real truth? It's sitting in my drafts in Google Docs, and yeah, I've added to it over the years, but my heart just said no. My heart said, yeah, I could teach people to make a lot of money behind the chair and make a big impact and beautiful hair, but my sole mission is to empower women to love themselves, and no amount of balayage is going to do that, if I'm being honest. So I put my teaching hat, I put my expertise as a hairdresser aside so that my soul could show up and commit to this mission. I wrote many years ago on a piece of paper, I want to be an inspirational leader. I didn't even know who the fuck wrote that, to be honest. I wrote it and I was like, who wrote that? What, an inspirational leader? That's kind of weird. And people, what? Who am I? What does this mean? But when I wrote that, I am an inspirational leader and I'm going to have 1 million students go through Shine School. And it's not about, how much income can I make? It's more about the impact. Because if we had 1 million Shine Schoolers out there loving themselves, being authentic, being vulnerable, being courageous, being creative, being abundant and kind and joyful, that has the power to change the world. Obviously, money isn't changing it. So we have to try a different approach. And I believe that it starts with our own attitude towards ourselves, the self-love that we have. It's not called mama's love or partner's love or doggy love. It's called self-love because only you can do it. And I'm going to give you the tools to be able to do that for yourself. And finally, put an end to fear and self-doubt. So if you want to join me inside Shine School, all you have to do, because the doors are literally opening today, is go to brittneycarmichael.com/Shine School. This is the first time in 2 years we've opened the doors live to the public. We've had students, of course, access it through other programs. And if you've been a part of my retreat or the Elevated Life Club, it's out there. But this is the first time that I'm publicly saying, doors are open. Let's fucking go. We're doing this together. I'm your accountability partner, which is why we've been doing the Self-Care Kickstart Challenge, so that we can show up for ourselves and truly commit to a life that we dream of. I also had the pleasure of reconnecting with one of our students, Julia, who took the course we met 8 years ago, but she took the course 7 years ago. She was one of the OGs, the first, I think we had 62 people sign up for Shine School the very first time I launched it. And funny enough, what I have learned is every time I've done a live launch, I somehow tend to correspond it with some crazy travel. We went to Iceland for a couple weeks when we launched Shine School, so I was out of the country. The next year we launched it in 2018. We hired Rebecca Campbell and Sonia Choquette's team to help us launch and do this big crazy Shine School thing. And I was in Bali the whole time. It was just like, what am I doing? So finally, I am home, I am rooted, and I am so ready to show up for you and commit to your self-care journey that it was so crazy to connect with Julia and put it all full circle. Like, oh my gosh, every time we've done a live launch or the OGs that have come in, it's just so beautiful to see how they've continued on their journey and we're all still connected. So I had the pleasure of reconnecting with Julia, who I hadn't seen in quite some time because she went off on an acting career, writing a book. She authored a book in the time that we have met since starting Shine School. She was 22 years old when she took the program and came into our world. 7 years ago, she was an OG in Shine School. And today, just like in a few seconds, you're going to have the opportunity to listen to our catch-up conversation. I wanted to just showcase one of our students and put the spotlight on what it looks like after 7 years of taking the program. This isn't just like, hey, I made something new, I hope it works. This is 7 years of how did this program impact your life? How did you become more confident because of the tools that you learned? What was some of the challenges you were struggling with before you started the program, and how does that show up in your life now? Me and the mouse in my pocket and my spirit team had the opportunity last week to connect with Julia and catch up on her journey. And I am going to give you a sneak peek into that conversation now.
Hi.
Hey, gorgeous. I'm just so glad to see you and just been following your journey for like years now. So that's just, that's what I love so much about being connected with you, Julia, is that I've had the pleasure and opportunity to know you for multiple years, even after you've taken Shine School. So I've not only got to see you witness like the growth during the transformation of the process, but now the after effects of who you've become and stepped into with your confidence and your power because of some of the things that we did years ago. Isn't it crazy? Just the journey.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. I can't believe it's been since like 2015.
Isn't that 8 years?
Yeah.
Wow. So when we met 8 years ago, about how old were you when you came into the Shine School realm?
So I was about 22. I just graduated college.
Wow. So when you are thinking back to who you were at 22, just graduated college, and you're probably at a turning point, like, what am I supposed to do? How did Shine School show up in your realm? How did you even discover it?
So I definitely was searching for like-minded community, and I was I didn't really get into the spiritual like awareness, like that community, until like after college, just because I was trying to discover who I was outside of like who my mom like wanted me to be and stuff like that. But yeah, so I just kind of search spiritual, like awakening, stuff like that, self-love. So that was kind of the main area where I found it, like the self-love, like atmosphere and like community.
What would you say was your biggest struggle before taking Shine School? Like, what motivated you to say, I need these tools to be able to discover myself and empower myself? Like, what was that biggest struggle for you?
I think my biggest struggle was definitely self-doubt and confidence. And I definitely was lacking it for sure. Just because throughout the years, I definitely knew from like certain relationships in my life, like they kind of like overextended their stay. So I definitely feel like definitely like the confidence I was lacking, and like the self-esteem. I was kind of like, like I was just like not seeing what people were saying.
And so when you started the Shine School journey, did you have any fears or hesitations before you signed up, or when you read it and you found out there's this program to help you figure out who you are, reclaim your power? Were you all in, or were you a little like nervous? Did you have any hesitation?
I mean, at the moment, I was definitely a little bit hesitant because I was like, oh, like, I mean, you can always like see like the self like help books, stuff like that. And I have tried those before. So I was just a little hesitant when I first started before like I actually like jumped in and stuff. I was definitely hesitant with like, how is this gonna like affect my life? Like I had no idea how much it affects me. And even to this day, like I still kind of go back to the modules and everything, and I still am like, damn, like this is what Britt like taught me. And I was like, I still hold these like values and stuff towards me and like other people in my life. So it's definitely crazy how like 8 years ago, it's like still relevant.
What do you think has been the biggest transformation that you've had since taking Shine School? What was that big aha moment, and how is it still showing up for you today?
I think definitely the biggest thing is the inner mean girl. Definitely, I think for a lot of people can relate to that, like guys and girls, like definitely, I know it's like mainly more towards like girls and stuff and like women, but I think for me, the inner mean girl, just because like when I did start it, I was kind of like so hard on myself, wasn't giving myself any grace. And I was just like, damn, like I should be so much further than I already am. But I didn't, at that moment in time, I didn't like see how much I already accomplished at like 22.
That's so crazy. One of the lessons in Shine School, we talk about reflecting on your past and turning some of the hard stuff that we've gone through in our past, like into how has this made me stronger or more resilient? Do you remember what was the hardest part, or like, because we go through forgiveness, we go through inner mean girl. Do you remember having like a challenge when you were taking Shine School? Because I find that a lot of women, get started and then they come up against something like, oh, I got to really work on this. And it takes a little bit more time. So did you feel like there was that moment within your Shine School journey where like, oh, I really got to work on this, or this is making me feel stuck?
Yeah, definitely. for me, to be honest, was definitely the forgiving myself. Because I could easily forgive other people. It's just like forgiving myself and like kind of going through the motions at that time, just being like, oh, like, damn, like I should have did XYZ differently. But I do remember like those exercises, they were so powerful. And I definitely need to go back to do those for sure again. But I remember like the forgiveness ones, I was like, literally as soon as like you started crying or like started talking, I literally started like shedding tears, and I was like, okay. I was like, all right, let's dive in.
Yeah,
forgiveness scary.
Forgiveness can definitely be a scary one. It's why I call it practicing the F word inside Shine School, because nobody even wants to say it. It's like, ooh, nobody likes that. Did you have a favorite module or like a tool that you're like, I use this all the time, that this is like that thing I lean on the most? Like, this is my favorite part of Shine School. Do you remember that?
I love all the modules, so it's kind of hard to choose like just one, to be honest. But I would say I forgot what the module is exactly called, but I remember like the confidence and like the self-loving one. That was like what really has resonated with me, and I feel like it's strengthened, and at that time definitely helped me with my mindset. And I definitely feel like I kind of accepted myself for like where I am and like kind of where I'm gonna go. So it definitely, those two were definitely kind of like, yeah, I need these.
I love that. Is there like a tool that you use to this day? Like maybe looking in the, like, you know, how we like look in the body mirror and just give ourselves all the love. Like, is there a particular tool that you find yourself using over and over again?
I definitely do the journaling a lot, and I definitely have done the meditations. I feel like those are definitely powerful. The mirror one is like very like, it's like another level of like intensity, as you know, but it's just like intense, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, my body is not where I'm at right now, like where I want to be, but it's giving me XYZ, and like just trying to be present in the moment and just like thank your body, and like being like, oh damn, like you've gotten me, I'm 30 now, but it's gotten me here now.
Yeah.
And like it's so amazing what it does.
I love that so much. Where do you think how do you think your life would be different had you not taken Shine School at such a pivotal age at 22?
I definitely think I would have taken a lot of like courses and stuff, and like I think I probably would have probably would be in a very different atmosphere and like environment. And I feel like I needed like that creativity and that spark and like that like sisterhood. Like I needed that community, because that's what I was lacking, because at 22 my mom and my brother did move down south after we were together for like 22 years. So I was still going through that like traditional stage or transition stage of like, damn, like I'm alone. Like my friends were here, but I was like, my family's not here, you know? So it was kind of, I feel like for me, it was more of like a release, and it was more of like me coming into myself and kind of being more dependent and just like grasping onto the community and asking for help and asking for the support. And it's to this day, I still talk to some of the Shine School sisters.
I think that's what's so beautiful about this program, is that it really is about building first the foundation of Blueprint to discover who you are, to fall back in love with yourself, to reclaim your power. But secondly, it is sisterhood, because we can't do this alone. That forgiveness work is hard shit sometimes. And when we want to manifest cool things, like in the last module about turning your dreams into reality, sometimes our negative self-talk that's come up in the earlier modules of like recognizing, wow, we're not our own best friends. Sometimes we say these mean things. A lot of the times it's so much easier to go through that process and transition, as you mentioned, of letting go of the old, outdated, fear-based version of yourself. And when you have the support of the community, it allows you to kind of let them reflect back to you like, oh my God, you actually are amazing. Like you mentioned earlier, you weren't able to see it for yourself, but other people were saying, hey, you're amazing. So how would you describe yourself now, 8 years later, taking Shine School? Where are you at now in life? I know that during the process, you were wanting to study more with acting and singing and expressing yourself creatively. So what have you gotten yourself into since taking Shine School?
Yeah, so I definitely have gotten into a lot. I definitely held myself back as far as the acting until like I started like Shine School because I was like really self-doubting and comparison. Like I had that comparison, like, oh, this person's farther along, like, will I ever get there? So yeah, I have been doing that. I have been acting. I've been in a lot of like short films. I'm definitely trying to get into like network TV and like bigger films, which is like my goal. I did release some Spotify songs. I am working with my singing coach to like kind of write songs. Like she's like, oh, we can write like single girl songs and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like I feel like a different era for me, and I feel like I'm more confident in myself. And I have obviously taken lessons and like acting classes. So I feel like I'm definitely more confident in myself, and I'm kind of like stepping into who I am and using my throat chakra and my like voice, just like standing up for myself more. That's something I've always struggled with. And also I did release a book, my first book in October 2021, which is kind of cool. So I am working on the second one, and just kind of like big things are on the horizon. And I feel like I don't feel like I'm in a plateau anymore. And I feel like I'm more myself than I have ever been, and I'm happier than I've ever been. And I feel like just getting those roots back from Shine School and just remembering where I started to where I am now, it's like such a huge shift. Like you said, like the 8 years, it's crazy to think back. And I was such a huge, like I was a different human back then. And I used to there's still things I struggle with, like finances, stuff like that. And like sometimes mindset and negative talk, but I do remember some of the modules, like, would you talk to your younger self like that? So that's something that's always stuck with me. And I feel like just thinking back, it's like, you wouldn't tell your younger self that. Like, you wouldn't tell your younger self, like, you're ugly or you can't do something. So it's just kind of like that mindset. I feel like for me, at least, a lot of people have been like, oh, like, you've changed so much. Like, I'm proud of you. So it's like, and I feel that for myself. So, yeah.
That was just what I was about to ask. Do you feel proud of yourself and how you've been able to, relate to yourself, relate to others, and go after your dreams and be creative and write a book, which is incredible. It's on my bookshelf. I just feel so like honored that you like gave me a copy and like wrote your little just like have a famous little autograph in there. It's just so awesome. So I guess you really did answer my question. Do you feel proud of yourself? What do you feel like has been the biggest benefit? You mentioned being confident, but how has that really made an impact in your life?
I think for me, I definitely, I would say definitely proud of myself, but I would say the biggest impact, I would say just like reflecting back now, I'm not harsh on myself anymore. I feel like I'm having an easier time forgiving myself. And I feel like I may not be like in constant contact with everyone that I used to like 8 years ago. Because everyone like grows and like goes different paths. But I do know if I reach out like with you, like obviously it's been a little bit, but we still keep in contact and stuff, and hopefully we'll work together soon again. But I know if I reach out, like we can always like pick up where we left off. And I just feel like for me, the biggest shift has been just, I guess, like celebrating the wins and accomplishments and not feeling like less than anymore, and just feeling like, damn, I did that. Like, I'm proud of myself. And like, I don't feel like it's a brag anymore. Like, I'm so proud of myself. Like, a lot of people can't say they wrote a book. Like, a lot of people can't say like they're still like they're doing acting. Like, a lot of people would have given up. But I think for me, just like always remembering my like motto, my values is like inspiring myself and others. That's something I always go back to.
Oh my gosh, that makes my heart so happy. I am so freaking proud of you. So if you had a friend on the fence who was like, this sounds amazing. I want that kind of confidence. I want to learn how to reclaim my power and discover myself. What would you tell that friend about joining up? Like, you need to get on, you need to happen. Like, what is that message that you would share with a friend?
I would definitely say if you're thinking about it, it's definitely worth the investment. It's honestly invaluable because you really can't put a price tag on it. Like, obviously, I know you need to, but I would say it's like invaluable because you, even to the, like we had talked about, like, even to this day, like 8 years, probably like 8 other years, like probably my whole life, like everything that I've learned, like you can keep going back to it and keep like rewatching it. And just like every aspect of your life, like professionally, I don't know, relationship wise, like any aspect of your life, like you can literally anything that you're learning, you can put it into practice. And I feel like it's invaluable just because like it's honestly priceless. Like it's something that I can't really describe. It's something you have to like be a part of, like that sisterhood, that community. Just like I feel like a whole new person, like after I like kind of like graduated from the program. But I still go back to it. And it's like it every single time I learn something new. So it's like it's not just like, oh, like I went through it one time, like I learned this. It's a different view and you'll keep growing each time.
Isn't it interesting how, you and myself included go back through the program like maybe once a year. Sometimes I try to get people to go back through it twice a year. Just depends on how much self-care I really need to double down on. But I find that when we do all go back through it as a group together, it is so interesting because when you're ready to learn that next level of wisdom, it's like I've mastered this stuff. So now I'm ready to learn and soak in that. You can hear it the first time, but it's not maybe like, I'm not ready to open that door yet. So what do you think, was a lesson that later came where you're like, I'm going through Shine School. I'm not really ready for it, but I went back because I needed support in this. Like, what is that thing that made you go back to Shine School to say, oh, I need a tune-up?
I think for me, I definitely like went through the motions. I was kind of like, oh, like this mirror, honestly, the mirror exercise was super uncomfortable. And I was just like, okay, like I did it. And I was just like, okay. But when I went back, like, I think like a year later or whenever I visited again, I was just like, this is so powerful. Like the thing for me is it finally clicked. It's like, you wouldn't talk to your younger self like this. You wouldn't talk to one of your friends like this. You wouldn't talk to like your like sibling, kid, parent. You wouldn't talk to your like, but it's like, why would you like, it really clicked with me because it's like, why would you talk to yourself so harshly and so meanly? Because like no one else is going to do that. Like if they do, then they're a horrible person, but that's a different topic. And I think for me, that really stuck with me. And it was just kind of a deeper understanding of myself and a really like thorough grasp of like, this is what self-confidence feels like. I can give this to myself. Someone else can do that for me, but I need to do that for me first. And the main thing was I needed to love myself first before I can give that to other people because I wasn't filling my glass all the way full. I was only doing halfway and I was like, and it's like, there was none left for me, So that was kind of the biggest, like, damn.
Yeah, that's huge. And I find that we can all be guilty of doing that sometimes. So before we wrap up, I'd love to just ask you, is there anything else you feel called to share about Shine School, the experience, the community, anything that just comes to mind where you're like, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you need to know this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I would say honestly, like you already know, but I feel like you're so like your wisdom is amazing and just like your love and support that you give your all to it and you give your heart, like you give everything into this. And I know each year you like add more and you obviously like improve it and everything. And that was really something that stuck with me ever since like I found you like 8 years ago. And I really feel like it was like resonating with me. And I was like, this is speaking to my soul. So if it's speaking to your soul and it's like, and if it's really like something that's nudging you and it feels uncomfortable, like you have to jump in. Like you're not that's where growth comes from. You can't just stay in your stagnant area and just think that something else will improve because it's like insanity. It's going to keep like keep pattern until you learn it. So I would just say, if you're listening to this and it resonates with you, just know that if you work on yourself, you can impact a lot more people than you think you can. And just know that you can do it. It may feel uncomfortable now. Like, that's how I felt, but just know you can dive in and you have a support system. You're not alone. You never are. So, and we will welcome you with warm and welcoming arms.
Oh my gosh, we absolutely will. Hugs and kisses all around. This has been such a beautiful conversation with you, Julia, to get to reflect back on an 8-year journey. That's what's like so dope about this program, is that it's not just like I made it up yesterday and hope that it works. We've had thousands of women go through this program over almost a decade. And you're just a beautiful, shining example of what it looks like to turn self-doubt into absolute confidence and to be creative and go out and impact so many people. When you can get out of your own way, I think that's what it truly means to shine from the inside. And I am so proud of you for being a beautiful example of what Shine School can do to help transform your confidence and your fear and self-doubt into power to make a positive impact in the world. So thank you for all the light that you're shining, the sparkle magic that you're spreading. The world needs it. And we're so proud of you, Julia.
I really appreciate it, Brittney. And I'm proud of you too. And thank you so much. And I'm really proud of you as well, and keep shining your magic. And I love you so, so much.
Oh my gosh, this has been incredible. Julia, thank you. I really appreciate you for opening up and sharing. I know it's been so long, so it's like you have to like bog your memory of like, what the hell happened again? Like, that was so long ago. It's like built in, but I appreciate you said some beautiful things, and I can't wait to showcase your magic, your story, your growth, your inspiration on the podcast. I'll be taking some video clips and all the things, getting this out there to just spread the sparkle magic. So thank you again for your willingness to contribute. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Always here to help you. So whatever you need.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Julia. Well, I know that this won't be the last time that we talk. We cannot go that long in between, but I am always creeping on you, checking in, being like, Chris, guess what Julia's doing? So I just am so grateful that we're still in contact and community. And I look forward to seeing even more from you soon.
Me too. I'm really thankful for you and Chris, and I can't wait to see what's in store the next chapter.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up that we're we update, because I'm adding a new interview, an expert interview on manifestation. And so I'm like very pumped to just like bring some more sparkle magic and high level energy to it. So thank you again. I appreciate you so much. And I will talk to you very soon. Oh my gosh, wasn't that just absolutely epic? It's so cool to hear that back and just listen from an objective perspective to see how impactful Shine School truly was in Julia's life and still is to this day. I can't wait to support you on your journey of uncovering and embracing your sparkle magic. All you have to do to join us in Shine School for this season is go to brittneycarmichael.com/Shine School. If you have any questions about this program, please reach out to me on Instagram at The World by Britt. Shoot me a DM, let me know your questions, and I'm sure you'll see all the love and positivity that's going down in my social media world, because we'll be sharing all about our clients' success stories from Shine School this week. I look forward to supporting you in your journey of self-discovery and saying, fuck the fear, finally. You deserve the life you've been dreaming of, and I'm going to help you achieve it. Let's manifest your wild and crazy dreams together inside Shine School, and I will see you on the other side. Peace. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life podcast. If you loved this episode, please share that love by leaving us a 5-star review and spreading the good vibes on social. You can tag us at the Elevated Life Club. Want more wisdom from us? Become an elevator by joining us inside our monthly membership club at theelevatedlifeclub.com to discover mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a live group coaching masterclass, guided meditations, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
It has all the tools, coaching, and community you need to level up, progress every month, and keep going in every area of your life consistently over the long term.
Join us in the club and start your transformation today by signing up at theelevatedlifeclub.com.